And I'm also going to control his hips with this elbow by pulling in to get him off balance. Now I'm going to step back and drop to this knee and just create a nice hole for him to fall into. Okay, so our first two takedowns relied on his arm being away from his body, whether it was driving it forward or driving it backwards. This third takedown is in the event he's able to just pull everything really tight to his body, or I'm not going to be able to get his arm away from his body. I want to keep this grip, pin this to his body. I'm going to use that to step around behind him. I tuck my head to his shoulders so he's not able to elbow me. And then I'm going to lock my arms around his waist. The hand coming around on my right side is going to be palm up. The hand across the front of his waist is going to be palm down. I'm going to lock into a gable grip here. From this position, I'm going to drive this elbow up and over his hips. I'm going to drive this elbow in to collapse his hip. And then I'm going to step backwards and drop to a knee. From this position, I'm going to grab his shoulder, slide it up to his head. We're going to go right back into this figure four position. Got one knee on his hip, controlling his hip. My other knee is behind his head. Again, I'm pulling this tight to my body. I'm driving down with this hand, bringing my elbow up, and keeping it tight to my chest. So this takedown is designed after I've gained control over his arm. If he tucks it in tight to his body, I'm not able to go for either of the first two takedowns. I'm just going to keep this grip, drive this into his body. I'm going to use that to step behind him. I'm going to let go of his wrist. This hand goes across his waist, palm down. The other hand's going to come up, palm up. I'm going to lock my hands in a good gable grip. My head stays tight against his shoulder blades so that he's not able to elbow me. Now I'm going to lift up and over his hips with this elbow. The other arm's going to collapse his hip on this side. I'm going to step back onto my right knee and drag him to the ground with me. This hand's going to reach up, grab the trap, slide my knee up. Other knee goes into his hip, grab his wrist, grab my own forearm, back to the same figure four grip, pull his arm tight to my chest. This arm presses down, this elbow presses up to keep tight control over his arm. Okay, so we'll work on some details for the final takedown position. I've already pressed his arm across. I've gotten here, arm around his waist. I've locked up my gable grip. So what I want to do is reach. I want to push with this bicep and shoulder. So I'm trying to get his upper body over his hips, get his shoulders outside of his hips like we were talking about in previous videos. And I'm also going to control his hips with this elbow by pulling in to get him off balance. Now I'm going to step back and drop to this knee and just create a nice hole for him to fall into. From this position, I reach up, grab onto his trap, slide my knee under his head, other knee goes on his hip. This hand grabs his wrist, I grab my own wrist, I sit up, secure this position tight. Okay, I've landed in this good position. My knee's behind his head, my other knee's on his hip. I'm holding his wrist. This hand's reaching under, grab on top of my own wrist. Keeping this tight, pinned tight to my body. Keep good control, pressing down here, press up with my elbow. Now I'm going to squat and circle around his head, just like our second takedown cuffing procedure. Roll him to his stomach, control the elbow. My heel goes underneath his elbow. My other knee drops next to his neck, makes contact with the ground and his trap. And we're going to cuffing from here. So those were our three basic takedowns that we teach to law enforcement. They're three simple takedowns that rely on the principle of staying outside the arm and allows the officer to disengage at any point during the technique, where he can move to either a separate tool set or create some distance and wait on backup. They're not locked into the suspect, where if they get in a fight that they realize they don't want to be in, they're stuck in it and they have to continue fighting for their life. The basic concept behind those three techniques is once I grab your arm, you have to either push, pull, or tuck your arm in. You have three options in that situation, and they all end bad for you.
Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed that content, we have more videos over here for you to check out. For those of you looking to enhance your knowledge, make sure that you go over to eliteu.com, where you will have early release of YouTube videos and access to exclusive content. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video.